Welcome back, everyone. This is our second webinar on the Web Client Analytics, and we are going to go deep into a more advanced overview of the analytics for the web client. We already know how a list view works, how to change from a table view to a chart view, add a card view. We also know what is the general overview. We understand filters. We understand date offsets and date aggregations for the web client. Now, there is one topic that I want to start with, and this is how can we link a view to a particular object? This comes in handy because we might have a lot of documents that we want to review, but we want to do it from, let's say, the business partner master data. So we'll use the business partners as our first example. But before moving there, I'm going to remind you of one of our pre-built views that we did when we were discussing the first webinar, when we were discussing what a list view was. And it was this sales order dashboard. This was used to explain the card view. But in order for me to filter the customer, right, I need to select it from here. But I want to make that dynamic. I want to go into my business partner and I want to link it from there. So let's go to business partners, open the business partner link view, and select one record to display. So we are going to search for MaxiTech. That is going to be our customer. Here we go. So I will click and that will display my business partner master record. Now, in the upper right corner, I will see that there's a link that says views, and I click here and you can see that I already linked the sales order dashboard. So what happens when I click the sales order dashboards? We already have filters. So these filters are coming from our prior, let's say, filtering. So we've saved this. We were discussing, how to add years and Q1 and Q2, so range of quarters. And we were discussing the data offset. So all of those filters that were discussed in our first webinar are still here. But I want you to note that as soon as I selected that sales dashboard from the customer record, this filter right here is dynamic. So you see that MaxiTech gets selected automatically. If I go to my cards, as we already know that those are the filters in the header effect, all the cards, you can see that all the data here is now only referencing MaxiTech. You can see here the amount of documents, and we are only analyzing 2024 in the Q1, the Q2. So we can do that for any customer. I can go back and I can do a next data record. So that will move one record. And right after I select that, you see that the parameter technology record is displayed, and I'll do the same thing. Go to my sales order dashboard. Now note immediately what I get. It's the same dashboard, but now filtered by my customer. So this is very powerful. Now let's learn how can we link those views to our, in this case, business partner master data. Let me go back to MaxiTech and then go here to views. This is just to start with MaxiTech when we test our new view. So I will click on views and I will click on manage. This will take us directly to the linked list views object. And as you can see, I already have one view here. Now, in order for me to add one new view, I will click on create new link. And that will allow me to start from scratch. So let's add backorder sales SOs. So backorder SOs will be my link name. I will link it to my sales orders and I will select my view. Now, prior to this, I already created a backorder sales orders and I don't need to create it from scratch. But here is one of the key settings when you are defining or you are linking a view to an object. So I already gave it a name, a list view, and a view. I can make it public so that any user will access or have access to my link view. In this case, I want to remain private because this is very important. When you link your own views, there might be situations in which you don't want anyone to have access to those. So keep in mind that this will make every single view that you are selecting it by as public to be available to all users in the system. The second most important thing, right after we set our names and everything, it's to select the fields that are going to be selected as our dynamic filters, right? So in this case, I have on the left the list view filters. So if I click here, I see all the list view fields that I have. So in this case, I will select my customer code. And on the right side, I have the object fields. So the object in this case is our master data for business partners. So I will click on BP card code and I'll save. Note that I can select more than one field, right? But in this case, this will suffice. This one filter will be enough. I will save this, and as soon as I save it, I'll go back to my business partners. And actually, let's go back to our prior screen. We don't need to go back one at a time. We can go back with this back arrow here to our business partners. So now if I go to my views, I'll see that I have my back order SOs. If I click here, this will display my back order sales orders list, and you can see that immediately it filters by my customer code. So if I can add charts and I can add cars and I can do every single thing that I'm accustomed to do with my lists. That is how we add a list to a business partner. In this case, we are doing it to a business partner master record. But remember, you can add lists to any object in the system. So there is another way to add a link to a particular object. So a list view to a particular object. And that is from the analytics tab. So let's search for the analytics tab. And in the analytics tab, we will find the link list views. So this is the same object that is displayed from the particular object. So this is the same screen that was displayed from the business partners, but the situation is that when you will open it from a particular object, that filters automatically. You can see here my business partners has two linked objects, or two linked views, two linked list views to be more precise. Now let's go ahead and add one to our item master data. So you see items here. You see that items doesn't have, so this is going to be our first, right? So let's create a link view, and this will be items in sales orders, in back orders. So this is going to be based on our sales orders again, and we are going to utilize my back order sales orders items. Okay, this is my back order sales orders. Now this is back ordered. And let me just change this to items back ordered. And let's search for our list view fields. So we should have our item number, and I can add, and you can see item number lines, right? This is what we need, the item code. This is the name of the field. And on the objects, we will find the same field, and now we have our link. Again, you can have more than one, so you can add more. In this case, I will only add one. I'll save. And as simple as that, from my link view views, I can go back to my home, search for the item master data. So you see here, I have all the different tabs. I will go a little bit back, item management, I open my items. Again, this is another list view. So you see the same structure. We have the list, we have the filters, we have our different display types. So you can see here table view, chart view, so on and so forth. Let's search for an item, shall we? One that it's easy to find. Let's enter an item and click on go, and that will add one. That will show the item. So I will click on it, and this will open my item master data. Same thing, right, guys? In stock, committed. So this information is the same that you see in a normal SAP Business One client. But in this case, I'll go to views, and now you see that I have my items back order. So I did it from the main screen of the link views, or how to link views to objects. And now you see that automatically filters by item. So I can see this is a pre-filter that I already did. You see the document date by quarter, the document date by month. So I'm just doing this as an example. So the item type in my item that is coming dynamically from the item master data. I can quickly hover over here and change from the chart view to my table view, and I can do all the same things that I'm accustomed to do. Same thing happens if I go back to my item master data. I can change the item, right? So I can move forward to the next item. And as soon as it displays, I can go ahead and do the same thing that I've done. So this will be click on the item on back order, and you see that it filters automatically. So that is how you can also link a view to an object. Now let's talk about how can we link from the general overview. This is very important. So let's go ahead and go to our general overview. So that it's in analytics. Let's find it together and go to general overview. Now I already created a couple of views from the general overview. But this that you're looking at on screen right now is the one that we are going to use as an example. So I created different views here linked to different objects. So some of the tiles that you see here, some of the cars that you see here are based on sales orders. Others are based on AR invoices. So in this case, all of the filters are very different. This one is filtering by BP group. This is filtering by sales employee, but it's listing the total sales, in this case by quarter. And this one is filtering by person, by salesperson, but listing all customers. In this case, this is just listing one customer. This is listing all customers utilizing year quarter. And this last one, as you can see, is only listing small accounts without any filters. Okay, so if I access one of them just to show you, you can see all the filters here, automatic filters. I can edit too. Let's go back and hit edit. And you can see all of the different configurations. We already discussed this. You know we can adapt filters. Some of them has some advanced filters. Others don't have any advanced filters. We also know that the filters will go and will get copied. In this case, you see I have some advanced date offset for the document date, and I have already pre-selected a sales employee name. This is just for showing in this case. Now let's go ahead and finish this and go back to our main menu to go to our business partner master data window, and let's search for MaxiTech. And let's open the MaxiTech record. From MaxiTech, we go to views, and you can see that I already have my general overview dashboard already selected here. So as soon as I select MaxiTech, you will see that in the header of each of my different cars, you'll see the different filters. In this case, the BP group that MaxiTech is part of is large accounts. So this automatically filters my first card. Now, the sales employee that is responsible for do business with MaxiTech is sales manager. So this is the first filter. So you can see all the different documents that the sales manager has executed for MaxiTech on different quarters. And then we see that I take the sales manager, but in this case, I'm looking at all the different customers on all the different years and all the different quarters. And the last one This one is not filtered, but I'm also displaying it as part of my demonstration. Now, we can edit and we can see that if I go back, we can edit from there. But if I go back and I search for another record, you'll see that if I go back to my view, that will again change all the values. So you can see that uh, the next customer that we have is part of the high tech customer group. So you see the change. In this case, Brad Thompson is the one that it's in charge of selling for to this customer, and you see that he only has one document in the Q3. Well, actually, not one document, but he only has documents in the Q3. And we see the total sales orders by sales. In this case, yeah, we can see more than one customer. And again, the last card that is not being filtered. Now, how do we do that? How do we link from the general overview? So let's go ahead and go to views and manage to show you exactly how this is done. So we already seen how to link from normal views, but in order for us to select from the general overview, we need to select the list view from the general overview. This is key. And then the total, then we select the view. Now, there is going to be one change in the setup because now we see that instead of having two columns, we have three columns. And the first column is now the card. So we can do configurations by card. In this case, I only configured the first three because the last one I didn't want to add any filters. And then you can see that first I select my card, then I select my card filter views, the same structure, and then my objects fields. So this links, and as soon as I'm done, I save, and that is the link. Now, one thing to keep in mind before we move forward is this everything that we just seen from the perspective of item master data and customer vendor master data. That will be business partner master data. All of those different links, those apply to the normal marketing documents in purchase sales too. So keep that in mind, please. Now that we know how to link views to selected objects and also from the general overview, how to link them to, different objects, link them together. Let's start with the next topic, and that will be how to create our own user-defined queries or UDQs in the SAP Business One web client. So user-defined queries or UDQs are very important because they're they give us the possibility to do our own structures, right? So one important thing to keep in mind from UDQs is that you can create them in the web client and in the normal client, and those will be accessible in any of the two contexts. Keep one thing in mind: update queries or parameter type queries are not supported in the web client. Now, another thing to keep in mind is that when a UDQ is open in the web client, it is viewed in a list view screen. And we all know what that means, right? So that means that all the standard functionalities associated with our list view are accessible immediately. So table view, chart view, card view, date offsets, date aggregations, you name it, everything is available for us. Now, where do we create our user-defined queries? So let's go ahead and move in our tabs, and let's select the analytics tab and search for user-defined queries app. So if I open the user-defined query, you will see that we have some categories here. Now the categories are the ones that we create in the normal SAP B1, and we have access to them. So let's click on the general. We have a bunch of queries here, but we are going to create one from scratch. In order for us to create one from scratch, we are going to hit the create button right here or click on it. And then we are going to be introduced to our window to define user-defined queries. So the first thing is to name the query. Let's put it a standard name like list of open AR invoices. We are going to put this query in the category general, and we are going to do a simple query. I'm not going to copy anything. I'm going to build it from scratch. So I'm going to do my standard list of an OINV table. and I'll start by adding the document number. Note that as I'm writing, you see that you have context help here, right? This is very neat. This is feature that we don't have in the normal standard SAP client. So I will put here the document uh, date, but I also need one more field here that is the object type. And you will see why we need the object type in a little bit. We have maybe the card name, the card code will be important. The card name, this is customer slash vendor code, customer slash vendor name. In this case, we are doing a query from our AR invoice table, so those applies only to customer. And the last field that I want that it will be my document total. I can keep on adding fields, right? I have a lot of flexibility. Let's add maybe the discount. So we have the doc total, but we have the VAT sum. This is the tax. So I will add that just as the last column. Now I have my query already built. So if I go to the preview and I click here, you will see that it's a representation of my data, right? So I can list my data before adding and view. And also I see that I have the columns displayed. This is very important. So what can we do on the column section? Right down here, I have the preview, but in the mid section, I have the columns. So what can we do? So we can perform the following here. So we can change the field names. Okay. So in this case, I want this to be, instead of being posting date, I want it to be document date. Let's change this to OBJ type. And you see that by default comes with the description of customer slash vendor code. We don't need that. We just need the we delete the vendor and we leave the code. And here for vendor, we delete the vendor slash and we leave the name. Document total is okay. Total tax is okay. Now, next thing that we can do is to link our columns or our fields to objects. So you can see here that some of the fields by default they link automatically. This will happen to the customer code and for the item code. Those are the OCRD and OITM tables. But I want this to have one link. So when I click on the document number, I want the system to open that AR invoice. So to do that, that is why this little field here, object type, comes in handy. So we are going to click on link, but instead of selecting from the list will show you all the tables that we have available, right, of standard objects. So let's go to the bottom and select the object type. And as soon as we select the object type and the match unique ID, we will match unique ID. We will find our document number. So this is how we linked the document number using the object type. Okay. Now, one last thing to understand here is what can I do with measurements and dimensions? So dimensions are, or we can call dimensions qualitative data. So, and the measures will be quantitative data. We can change a measure to a dimension, but a dimension, a field that is a dimension, you will not be able to change it. I'll leave this to as a measure. And being measures, you can do aggregation. So you can sum, you can do none, you can count, you can minimum. In this case, I will not do anything here. And I'll put that, you see that the decimal places can be affected too. So we can change it to amount, prices, rates, quantity. So we have a bunch of options in this case. I will not do any change. I have everything that I need. Now I will add and view. Now, once we add the query, now we can do one thing that is very important is to activate the query. So I'm going to edit and I'm going to activate the query and I'm going to update again. Note that we have another check here, and that is to display as tile on the homepage. So we can do that right away. Now, what can we do with this user-defined query right from here? We can open it in a list view. And voila, we have our normal, already standard list view, the one that we discussed prior to this. And you can see that you can go in and you can add fields. Now, what are the fields that are available are the ones that are constrained by the query, but note one important thing. is one important thing is you see that the aggregation is automatic. Okay, you don't have to program that. That comes pre-built with the web client. So you can go in and you can start doing your charts, or you can go ahead and you do your cards. So this is how we create our user queries. Same things. You save the different views, and you can adapt the filters to add more. Again, filters and columns are restricted by the structure of your query. Now, we can also create a link from an object to a user-defined query. Okay, this is very powerful too, because we can build our own logic, our own queries to list the information as we need it, and then we can link that to an object. So let's go ahead and go to business partners. And we already know this, but we are going to further extend on how to link now, instead of pre-built objects, now our own logic queries, or in this case user-defined queries. So let's open one customer from the list. In this case, well, we've been using Maxitech, so we are going to keep on using the same customer. When we display the record, let's go to views and let's do manage. And the same rule applies. We will create a new link. This is the list of the ones that we already created in our prior examples when we were learning this. Now create a new link. You will see the link name. In this case, we will do AR invoices list. And let me I always forget to put the open AR invoices list. Okay. It will be from the list views. You see that we have, it will be, give me 1 second because find it. You see user defined queries right here. So we have the tables and we have the queries. And we also have all the different defined tables and the objects on top. So you see here, we see the list of open AR invoices right in the user defined query. So it's important. The list we already know. In the top, we have the normal objects, but you have to move a little bit down until you find the user defined queries. Don't confuse it with user defined objects or user defined tables. In this case, we are going to use our list of open AR invoices, and we are going to select our view from this standard one. We didn't change the name. We can change the name, but in this case, we didn't. We'll make this public, and we are going to use the same logic that we learned before. List view filters are the ones that are inside our list view, so we are going to search for one. We know that we have the customer code, and the object field, since we are in the business partner master data, will be the same field. We don't need any more filters or links, and then we save. If I go back to business partner list, in this case, I already have my Maxitech business partner selected. If I click on views, I see my open AR invoices, and when I click in, list view will pop up. We have arrived at our last topic for this series of webinars, and that is how to export and import views in the web client. So how do we export our views and how do we import our views? So SAP came up with a solution that enhances the collaboration between companies, because we can export those views that we just learned how to create. So every single type of view. So we are talking about table views, chart views, card views, views in general, overview, views in user-defined queries, and the links of all those views to various master datas and screens. All of those can be exported and imported later into a different company. So let's learn first how to export, and then we will log into a new company to import the views. So let's go to our tabs here in the web client, and let's search for analytics. Inside the analytics, we will find export and import views. This standard will only list the views that you have created or that we have created. You see all the different views. We have performance, employees, we have the sales dashboards, every single view and every single analytics of the general overview that we created during these webinars are available here. But also we can display the predefined views, and that will show all the different system defined, their analytics that are defined in the web client by clicking on hide or view or display predefined views. Now let's go ahead and export a couple of the ones that we built. So I will check on the general overview. Let's get this one too. That's told sales dashboards, including salesperson filters. And I will do the sales dashboard and all sales orders on the last 8 years. And those are going to be my 4 views. Now, to export views is as simple as selecting the views that you want to export from the list by clicking on the checkbox right here and clicking on the option to export selected. If you click here, you should always check export links. In this case, we are exporting the views. You see that it's predefined or pre-checked as standard. We click OK, and that will generate one file. Now, in order for us to utilize this file, we will log off the company, and I have my own environment that I use for demos and everything. So let's log into that environment and give me 1 second because this is going to take a little bit of time. Now I have my own demo, so I'm going to log into my own demo database. It will take a couple of seconds to load. Okay, now that we are in the new company, we are going to search for analytics and we are going to use the export and import views. In this case, we are going to hit the import button and we have options here. So sharing options are keep the existing status, the one that comes from our original database, import all views as public, or import all views as private. We discussed what a private and public view is. In this case, I will import them as public. I will browse and I will select the second file. Now click on open and I will click on OK. And we wait. So as soon as it's finished, it will tell us import views successfully. So if we click on, we see that we have a list views and our general overviews. Now, if we go into the system and go to the different areas, we can go ahead and search and see exactly what we have imported. If we go to general overview, you will see that we have in standard, but also the general overview test number 1, it's here, and the general in the total sales dashboard, including salespersons, is here. Also, those are the same. You can edit, we can link, we can do every single thing that we've seen so far. And if I go to sales and I go to sales orders and I go to my predefined views, you see that I have now all sales orders in the last 8 years here with the filters that we had. And if I go to my sales order dashboard, that will show. And you see that it's not just the structure of the cars, but also the filters come also exported from our original database. And that is how you export and import views. Same thing works with query and user-defined queries views that we have available. I hope this webinar was informative to you, and we're looking forward to hearing from you, and we can move to the question sections.